Alright, how's everybody doing today? This is Miss Muscarella coming at you, and we're going to take a look at another example of improper integrals. Now for example 3, we've got to determine the divergence or convergence of the integral with infinite limits and evaluate the integral if it converges. So we're given this integral. And what we want to recognize is that this piece up here is infinity. So we're going to use the limit process with b going to infinity. So b is going to replace infinity. Now once we've got that done, what we're going to do next is you want to recognize, and most people are pretty good about seeing this at this point in their math lives, is you want to see that in here we actually have this set up very nicely. We've got an x there, and then an e to the negative x, and then a dx piece right there. So that is what's going to allow us to really help us out with integration by parts. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. U is going to be x, which means du is dx, and dv is going to be e to the negative x, which is going to give us negative e to the negative x. Now just be careful here. Don't forget the negative sign when you are integrating e to the negative x. Now remember, integration by parts is the formula uv minus the integral of v du. But we've still got this limit piece, so you're going to have to make sure that you write that also on your next line. So now we've got this line right here. The limit as b goes to infinity of negative x e to the negative x power minus the integral from 0 to b of negative e to the negative x. Now these two pieces right here, some people might see that right off the bat and just rewrite it then as a plus sign down here. So either way you do that, if you see that right in the beginning, good for you. So now we're just going to go ahead and integrate from 0 to b, still using the limit process as we go through and do that. Now some people will see this and others won't, and I just like to I notice that I've got an e to the negative x here and an e to the negative x there. So what I'm going to do is actually factor, and both of these terms are negative, so I'm going to factor out a negative e to the negative x. Now I don't always like that written that way, so I'm going to actually write it one more way, where we're going to write the e to the negative x in the denominator. Now through that whole process we still have that lim as b goes to infinity. We still have that out in front. That doesn't just fall off and go away and then show up later on. So make sure when you're writing your mathematics that you're writing it correctly. From here, all we're going to do is simply integrate, or we're going to just take the limit as b goes to infinity. Now this is where everybody will be okay, but this guy right here, this first piece, when you plug infinity in for b, what you're going to want to be really super duper careful of is this is actually going to give us a form of, if you plug infinity in the top, you'll have negative, and then infinity plus 1, all of that over e to the infinity. Well, e to the infinity is some huge number, so we're going to end up with a version of an indeterminate form, so we're actually going to have to use L'Hopital's rule to help us out with this one. On the other piece, 0 plus 1, all of that in parentheses, e to the 0, that we're not going to need to use L'Hopital's rule for, so we'll be okay with that. So on the first one, when you take the derivative of the numerator and the derivative of the denominator, you're just left with negative 1 over e to the b. Now again, when we plug in infinity for e to the b, well this piece, this e over e to the b, that we know negative 1 over that is going to go all the way down to 0. So we've got 0 plus 1, which means our integral is going to converge to 1. Alright, so most people are pretty good at all of this. The only caveat that this one threw in was now we added that one other layer of, oh, we've got L'Hopital's rule that we're going to need to apply in here as we went through the limit process. So just take your time, and that's one other thing you're going to need to check for and just make sure that you're aware of. Alright, boys and girls, thanks so much for watching today, and I'll catch up with you later on. Peace out.